Hi, it's Colleen Schmidt from Divination Counseling Service here to present Juno, the asteroid Juno. Here, we're going to be looking at what's referred to as the wife of the big four. And the big four asteroids are the most commonly used asteroids by all astrologers, even if they don't use the smaller asteroids, the thousands of other little rocks that are out there. Now, Juno does have a counterpart. Her name is Hera. And those of us who do use those thousands of other asteroids can tell you that they're very interchangeable. So you can apply the same thing that we're going through today for Juno that you can also use then for Hera, which is the Greek term, whereas Juno, I believe, is the Roman term. So let me just say that I decided that I had to redo some articles from my website because they were years old. I didn't like how they were written and they had no videos. So part of my honoring the Mercury retrograde is I am going back through old work and redoing it. With that said, I want to thank you for watching this video. And if you're not a subscriber, I hope you'll consider becoming one. Please like, share, comment. I'd love to hear from you. So Juno is considered the wife, but understand there's a greater story here. Juno was married to, I think it's either Zeus or Jupiter. Okay. But it's one of those guys, and I'm just looking through my notes, and I don't think I wrote that down. She really was a jealous and vindictive woman because, of course, the man that she's married to is cheating on her. Okay. And he's even having children with all kinds of women. So she becomes known as the jealous and vindictive wife. Okay. So when you think of Juno in a chart, a lot of people will make the mistake of assuming that if you have Juno, it means that, with another person that you'd make great marriage partners. And the truth be told is it is not what you think. Most of the time, people who have very strong Juno connections between each other don't get married. So it's interesting because Juno is not about the partnership. It's actually about, and I'm just going to try to find where I'm looking at my teacher's book, Martha Lang Westcott, and she calls it the Pluto marriage point, which represents what goes awry and where scorekeeping or revenge take place in the chart. Okay. So I thought that was really interesting. It's funny because it's a pattern that articulates the fear of what will or won't go wrong with a relationship. That's what Juno represents. So we're under this misconstrued thought that Juno is about the marriage partner. No, Juno is about how we react in one-to-one situations. It's about people who might score keep. It also tells you what kind of people you might be attracted to through the energy of Juno. But what it's really about is it's about, I like the way she says, I'm just looking for it now. It comes into play because from the relationship of our parents, it's part of the dynamic that we learned through our parental relationship, and particularly the mother's role and attitude toward marriage, which would be, by the way, much stronger if it were in the fourth house or on the fourth house or the IC, the fourth house cusp. So, it's really interesting. Now, when it's on the descendant, it would then be, of course, describing what you might be attracted to in terms of a partner. Okay. But it's really about who's entitled to what in a relationship. And there's a lot of conflicts over rights in relationships because that is what Juno really, really represents. So I thought it's kind of amazing that a lot of astrologers will go back and talk about Juno as the partner. And yeah, I guess it is the partner but it's not about their marriage. Okay, I have myself experienced some really strong Juno contacts in a relationship with a person I dated for years and years, but we never got married. Okay, and it's interesting we talked about it, but we never. It just wasn't in the cards. But it's also a part of Juno that just because you have a strong Juno doesn't, it just means you're both going to teach each other a lot about relationships, but it doesn't really mean that's a marriage partner. If you want to find out more about a marriage partner, look at your descendant, look at Venus, look at the seventh house, and what rules it. That would be much more appropriate if you're somebody who is looking to figure out, who you're marrying, or, if you're getting married. Now, here's an interesting dynamic on this, though. People who have strong Junos, like say that it falls on the ascendant or the sun. And I can tell you this from my many years of being a counseling astrologer. When people have it here, they don't do anything alone. Nothing. Okay. Now, does it mean that they always have to be married? Well, I do find that especially with the sun, there's a strong desire to be in that kind of partnership. But no, they don't even really have to be married. And I'll be honest with you, the person that they have to be partners with all the time doesn't have to be the same person. It just means they don't do anything alone. Everything is done with somebody else. So it could be if it's, it could be a comrade. It could be two female buddies, two male buddies, but they don't do it alone. They don't do anything alone. Okay. I think that in the case of the sun, I've seen some real issues where the sun is in some kind of very strong aspect to Juno, especially conjunctions where these people really can't do without their partners, even when their partners are horrible to them, which is really amazing to me. But it has a lot to do with the rest of the chart, of course, but it really has a lot to do with that connection of that Juno and how important that Juno is, because people who have really strong Junos also become, in my opinion, easily codependent. Okay. So they have to have, so take somebody who has it at their IC, which is also means the mother has a strong influence on what it takes for that person to be a partner. And for example, if the mom took a great deal of responsibility in the household, then so would that child when they grew up. But the one thing I have noticed is that when you do have it on an angle like that, once again, you tend not to do things alone. Sometimes in this case, it wouldn't work out because here are people that would struggle to live by themselves. In other words, they really do need living with somebody to live with somebody else. Here we go. It doesn't have to be a significant other, but it has to be some kind of partner. The same thing could be said with the dynamics of Juno to the midheaven or to the IC, that even in business, they would have partners or be partners. There would be some kind of connection. Now, if you have Juno at the midheaven, because there's such a strong dynamic to scorekeeping, it is the placement for a lot of accountants. Okay. And I think that that's, something very significant to look at. That whole idea of scorekeeping. Just put it at the midheaven, and now scorekeeping is about scorekeeping. It's about getting your taxes done and about, having an accountant to help you with your finances. Scorekeeping. Scorekeeping is something that is done in relationships, whether we really want to or we don't. It just happens. And it happens a lot in significant other or marriages, in particular, where one party might take up the slack more than another in certain areas, and then somebody else. And so there's scorekeeping. All right. It's the tallying is what my teacher calls it. And it's the tallying occurs in economic and financial ways, but also it can be even in terms of physical labor, who does more work. All of that is scorekeeping. So scorekeeping is huge, and it's it's a big factor in the Juno. But Juno is also about who are our partners. So think of, and I'll just do this very quickly, like I did in the last video I just did, which is I'll go through the signs, but know that it would also apply to the house. In the case of an Aries Juno, you might be looking for somebody who's very aggressive, very assertive, and I hate to say it, a little bit selfish, maybe even. But for some reason, we could be attracted to that. The same thing could be true in Taurus, where the person could be a craftsman or an artist, and we're just really attracted to that. Or they could be somebody who accumulates a lot of money or wealth, and that's an attraction factor because here Juno is not so much talking about our direct, unless you're putting it at the midheaven, but really more about the partnership. In the case of Gemini, you're looking for people who are stimulating and help you accumulate information. They probably talk a lot, probably like partners who are good at conversation. Then you have the Leo, which is being attracted to those who are leaders, okay, or people that are also very dedicated to um, their children, because that's a fifth house too. But I think this is more about leadership. In the sixth house, the Juno would be, and Virgo, would be somebody who's a perfectionist, maybe someone with a little OCD, maybe somebody who's involved in work that is like nursing, medical, where you're kind of service to other people. When you're talking Libra, we'll go back to the art. Maybe attracted to somebody who is an artist. But here in Libra, you have to be careful that you're not attracted to somebody who's a flirt. And although there are people that are attracted to that. In Scorpio, you might be attracted to somebody who does something really weird for a living, really interesting for a living is how I should put it. Um, I always remember Martha using herself as an example of that with strange attractions to men who rode bulls and raced cars and did all kinds of things like that. She had other stuff with it, but I just thought it really interesting that they were all in strange occupations. Then Sagittarius, you might be attracted to people who are of a different culture, different nationality. Maybe they travel. In Capricorn, they might be people who are really committed and connected to the government or to a big, huge organization. Maybe they are very, very dedicated in terms of partnership. Their dedication lies not so much in the partner, but in their work. In Aquarius, it might be people who are humanitarian and people who are involved in group activities or have a real dedication or a real connection to their group. In Pisces, very similar to that of Virgo, but maybe these people are religious. Maybe they're deeply compassionate. Maybe they are people that do prefer to work in little closets behind the scenes, and that would be appropriate. So Juno is not you in a partnership, maybe how you keep score, but it might be more a description of what you are attracted to in partners. However, it's also about what will work, what won't. It's about our commitment toward fidelity and marriage. It's working at the relationship. That's what Juno really represents. I hope that was helpful. And again, please comment, like, share, but comment. And until I see you again, not only happy readings, but have a great day.